What is going on, you dead set legends, and welcome to the Ready Bang, the #1 arm wrestling show on the planet. I'm your host, the Aussie Arm Wrestler, and I am joined by the man with the biggest traps in the world. I am joined by the man that is universally loved. We're yet to find a hater. I am joined by the man that wants to go deep inside a hook with Krasimir Kostadinov, December 14th. I call him Indiana Jones, but you know him as the White Orc, Captain America, Paul Linn. Paul, as always, thank you so much for joining the show.
My pleasure, buddy. And hey, if you're tuning into this podcast to look at these two ugly mugs talk about arm wrestling, please hit the like and the share. And if you haven't subbed to this young man who's been doing this for so long and brings this positive energy, give the Aussie Arm Wrestler a sub and share him to somebody else.
Oh, much love. Really appreciate it. It has been a while now. It has been a while trying to do these podcasts and shows, and I've got some big guests, including yourself, coming up, and I'm very excited. But that comes with my first question. I'm getting to a stage where I have to hire a private detective. Have you found a hater yet? I haven't.
Yeah, there's haters, for sure.
There's haters, but I don't think anyone hates Paul Linn. And I reckon if someone threw shade, within 15 minutes their comment would be deleted.
No, they're there. They're there. It's just what you choose to do with them as an athlete or whatever you are. What you choose to do with those comments is up to you. That's between you and you. I take those as motivation. So there's quite a few people that don't think I deserve to be where I am, getting the matches that I'm getting. And sometimes I wonder if I do myself, but I always use that as a constant motivator to make sure that I'm working as hard as I possibly can so I can show up in the best form as I can and leave it then on the table.
Wow. I mean, when you have to put your camera, 2.5 miles away because you got traps for days. Look at that. We'll get to those bloody bad boys in a moment. But we'll just quickly say hi to a few people in the chat, including the Drew24, Sylvester Stallone is in there. We got some great vibes from Puerto Rico. Hey guys from Dan Plexman. Andy Beckett saying that there's a weird echo noise. Okay.
That might be my phone. Is it only on my end, Andy?
Let us know, Andy. Let us know. It seems pretty good. Well, we'll wait and see what people say in the chat. Now that the hate's coming in, Paul Linn is the worst. He's so mean. Just evil and counter it. Just look at his traps. I hate you, Paul Linn, for being so goddamn gorgeous. Okay, it is on your end, Paul.
All right, give me 1 second. I'll run and get my headphones. I should take care of it. Give me a second.
No worries. We'll get in there. There's if Paul took the camera with him, we would have seen him do some cardio. But it's there. It's okay for those that are just turning up. Yeah. But it's true, isn't it, guys? Everyone. Hey, what's up, Ivan? How are you, buddy? But it is true, isn't it? Like, it's hard to find a hater. Like, whenever Paul's matches get released on YouTube, it's like, oh my god, that was unreal. Whenever Paul does the fix or he does other shows, no one's like, Paul Linn sucks or anything like that. So it is very, very interesting. Thanks for joining. Also, if you are a member of the channel, I got some big news coming up. So I'll make a little video after the show, and we'll get into it. And also, make sure you vote between Paul Linn and Krasimir Kostadinov. Who do you think will win? I'll do my predictions a little closer to it because I want to get Krasie on the show. And if I sit there and say, oh, Paul Linn's going to smoke him and destroy him, I'm not sure if Krasie will come on the show. What's going on? Richard Jennings. Paul Linn is here. I think he's just getting some headphones.
Can you hear me now, Jake? Is it better?
Is it better? It sounds pretty good to me, but
Andy, tell us, man.
just let him know. But we'll keep going with it. Just quickly, Paul. I thought you were you are Captain America, and with the politics happening in America, it seems like a lot of people are very happy. Are you one of those happy people?
I don't get too involved in politics because you find out for the most part that you're I think more negative comes out of it than positive. But I have high hopes for the next 4 years. We'll see where it takes us. But I don't get too involved. I feel like a lot of people treat it like rooting for a sports team, trying to affect things you can't affect. So I try and keep it positive and not dig too much into that stuff.
Oh, mate, it took over the airwaves here in Australia. You couldn't watch anything else.
I know.
But it's so dumb because it's got nothing to do with us. So
right.
I found it funny. But on a serious note, I want to get your opinion on something before we talk about your awesome match, because the whole Devin Larratt saga that everyone's going on, because I thought you were probably one of my favourite people to ask, because on one side, you're an arm wrestler's arm wrestler. Your approach to everything is very professional. Your training, the way you speak to your opponent, everything like that. But you also come from football, which has some of the best trash talking and nonsense in the world. So when you were watching the shenanigans on the weekend, what were your thoughts?
I mean, like when you look at Devin's recent approach, it's for some people and it's not for others. Like, I think it's one of those unique scenarios where Devin is Devin and he's so polarizing no matter what he's doing, whether he's being the soldier boy superhero or he's being the heel. I think it's going to bring eyes to Devin no matter what. So, like, I do think it has its place. Me personally, would I ever do that? No, I would probably not be comfortable doing that. But I do think that Devin has really leveled his game up when it comes to like the mental warfare. And I do think it plays a big part on most of his opponents. And I think the guys who are able to take it the best usually have the best showings against Devin, especially if the strength gap is close. Like, and I think Gennady was one of those ones which largely wasn't affected by it. And I think like Hermes and Petrenko and some of these guys, they really fell into it deep. So, I mean, my hat's off to him for doing what it takes to win. And I also see it from the perspective that Devin went from being like the most loved figure in arm wrestling to now a bunch of negative comments. And I do think it takes a level of bravery and intestinal fortitude to go that route. So I can't imagine that it's easy on him or his family at this point, but he deemed it as an important part of his game in order to ensure best opportunity for victory. So I think it's one of those things too, where if you don't like it, right? Like if you're one of those people, maybe you're a purist and you say, I hate this, I don't want to watch it. I would be willing to bet that you'll still buy the next pay-per-view in hopes that you see Devin lose. I bought many a Floyd Mayweather pay-per-view just because I wanted him to lose. And every time I said, I'll never do it again. And then I did it again. I mean, we're talking about $100 pay-per-views and double digits that I paid to hope somebody would shut Floyd up. So I do think overall it's a positive for the sport.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think what's happening as well, we're getting a lot of the, and I could be wrong, a lot of the younger generation coming in and complaining a lot more, where, you know, you and I, if someone grabbed our shirt, we just hit their hand off and like it's okay. He wasn't trying to, like Devin wasn't trying to fight Engen or anything. He's just grabbing his shirt and winding him up. We're just like, get off me. And things like that. And plus, if you are, like you were saying, Paul, a purist, you've got 13 matches beforehand.
Yeah.
That was just all pure.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing that happened was Vladimir didn't want to shake David Samushia's hand.
Yeah. We digest it a little bit better over here in the United States because the posture and the demeanor. Yeah, the demeanor in this country really glorifies the trash talk. And I actually, personally, as far as the sport of football goes, I think it's a bad thing for our youth. You see too much in the NFL, too much celebrating, self-glorification, and, you know, trash talk. And the worst is when you're not in a position to be able to talk trash, but you're doing it anyway. So we're constantly coaching kids through that stuff. You know, everybody wants the opportunity to be able to talk trash, but nobody wants to put the work in to get to a point where you can. So it's tricky, but I'll tell you, that's a big part of our culture in the United States for sure. And it's very, very glorified.
Oh, it's a great culture, and it is here. But I am just reading the chat, Paul. People are saying that now all the audio has gone nuts. So let's see if I can. I'll just double check my phone because everything sounds great on our end. I hear you clear, and people saying now my audio's. I haven't touched my microphone in about 3 years, so
I'll put another headphone in. Maybe it's. I always think it's my phone.
Yeah, mine's. We sound good on. We sound good. Can't hear you, Jake. Jake, no audio. But I'm fine. We sound good. Can't hear you, Jake. Yeah. Jake, no audio. That's coming off my YouTube. But I'm fine. We sound good. Can't hear you, Jake. Yeah. Jake, no audio. Can't even hear myself again. So not too sure. Not too sure. Paul sounds good, but we can't hear you. That's the first time I've ever heard anyone say they couldn't hear me.
Don't worry, guys.
Yeah,
I'll listen to them for you.
That's right, because I'll have a quick look, but there's nothing I can... All right, I'll turn my mic volume up. How's that, guys? Is that any better? I've turned my mic volume up. Let's have a look. Is this okay, everyone? Better? Oh, well, I've turned it all the way up on StreamYard. But, all right, a little better. Well, just roll with it, guys. Roll with it. You are witnessing the first time ever someone saying they cannot hear the Aussie arm wrestler. You're kidding yourself. Bloody hell, we've entered a new realm of the Matrix. Yeah, so, yeah, I'm the same as you, Paul. I do think with the shenanigans with Devon, I think that's the true East versus West battle.
Right. How about it? It does define the difference in culture for sure.
Yeah. So, but what doesn't define culture is everyone understands the gym. And boy, oh boy, mate, how is the training going?
It's going good. So we finished football season up, I guess, 2-3 weeks ago. So, I mean, I trained through football season, but when we get into the off season, it's full swing. So I'm in that weight room from like 2:30 till now. So half of that is training for myself, and then I'm also working with the high school kids, and now I'm working with the youth as well, my son's age groups.
Yeah. Ah, okay.
So I live there.
Yeah. Oh, so you're saying you're using your knowledge and power to make things better for your son?
Well, that's the idea. I mean, yeah. I went to school for exercise physiology. I have a master's in exercise physiology. I've been running a strength program at a high school for 20 years now. That's the only way I use that college education because my career has nothing to do with that. So I've always, like, the minute I was done playing football, I felt a need to kind of pay those lessons in the character development forward. So I was drawn right into coaching, and I've never really looked back.
Yeah, and then when, you know, your son gets a bit older and wants to play professional football, will you ring some friends to scout and things like that?
Oh, man, I don't got those type of contacts. What I can do is make sure his ass is working in the gym. But the good news is he loves it, man. He loves it. He has a work ethic and a competitiveness that transcends mine. So we'll see where he goes.
Well, my point being, all those people that are hanging shit on Devon, crucifying Devon for Orton being king of the table, the most universal loved man would do the same for his son. I will do the same for my daughters. Absolutely.
Buddy, I told him he couldn't play football for like the past 3 years. He wanted to. I said, "You're not mature enough. You're gonna be a headache for coaches. You can't focus." All these reasons. I told him he wasn't ready. He talked me into it last year. I told my wife I don't want anything to do with coaching my son. I don't want to get involved. I don't want to be that dad who's worried about the coach's decisions and things like that. I made it all of about 30 minutes into the first practice before I was on the field. And then it turned into this thing where not only am I like heavily involved in coaching his level. Now I'm taking a stance with the off-season program and the whole organization. So I swore I didn't want to do it and want anything to do with it. And now here I am, both feet in.
Well, it's probably more better the devil you know than the devil you don't. If your son is
Yeah.
going to play football, probably better under your tutelage, so at least know he's getting the best out of it than someone else telling him what to do.
Yeah, the only problem is I'm hard as hell on him. He can take it, but like my wife will be like, "Yeah, when you're yelling at these kids, and then you yell at Lincoln, it is like 3 times worse. Like, why are you doing that?" I'm saying because he can take it. We'll see.
The man's man. I love it. I absolutely love it. But what I do love, it is happening December 14th. Your football season is. What are we? It's now football season, isn't it?
We're
Or is
done.
it?
We're done. We're
Oh,
done.
you're
High
done for the
school level,
kids.
we're done. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The football season will work through the holidays and everything for college and pro and stuff, but we're done.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So then, right into the deep end. Krasimir,
Yeah.
when was this idea flirted and when was it booked?
Oh man, I don't even know. I mean, I guess right around when everybody found out. I forget what the date was. It was like during the football season. So to me, it gives me enough time to at least give myself a good 7, 8 week camp without any distractions. I can prepare for a match in season. I just don't want to do it in season because the travel messes up everything for coaching. So this worked out perfectly, actually.
Well, this match is actually for the Lachlan Adair Cup because you and Krasy were the last two people to beat Lachlan Adair, so you're
Yeah.
going for the Lachlan Adair Cup. And I have been checking my phone on daily since the June King of the Table, and I am yet to receive an apology from you.
I apologize, Jake. I apologize. I just if I can win, I'm going to win.
Of course, man. Of course. It was great to see you pull live June 1st. It was really good. And of course, Lachlan's my friend.
Yeah.
Someone's got to lose. We're not babies.
Yeah.
So it was.
Yeah,
it was
Lachlan's
good
awesome.
fun.
He's looking really good too. I've text back and forth with him. He looks like he's bringing a really good version himself.
Yeah, right. So what version are we getting of you? Do you think like the off season from pulling all the time benefits you?
I would say that I feel healthier. Like my shoulders and my elbow feel pretty good. So I mean, during football season, I stayed pretty consistent on the table. My intensity level wasn't through the roof. Now, once I realized I had this match, I started adding some different things in to up the intensity for the Krasimir preparation. But I like the overall health that I have right now. My table time is not affecting my gym, which is what I try and balance out. The big
Brilliant.
thing is going to be trying to gain enough weight to get to that 105 mark again. That was the struggle last time, and I didn't get there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, because what do you sit around?
I'm like between a 215, 220 guy, like homeostatically. Like,
Yep.
depending on the season, like if it's winter and I'm eating like crap and not being active, I can float up to like 225. But the times that I've really tried to push myself and gain weight, like for John Brzenk, my body really wants to stall right around that 225.
Wow.
I got my little mass gainer shake. Got my little mass gainer shake going though. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how you guys do it. It's insane. It is madness. I wouldn't have thought that gaining weight would have been hard.
Well, I wouldn't think so either. I'm 43 years old, and I was like, in prep for Lachlan, I was like, oh yeah, this would be no problem. I'll just eat all this good stuff and the things that I don't normally eat because I normally eat pretty clean. And my body reacted, but it only reacted to like the tune of 4 or 5 pounds, and then it leveled out again. And I found myself like gorging myself before the match to try and get the last couple pounds on. But it's all right. I felt good on the day, so we'll see.
Fucking, you look good as well, mate. don't worry about feeling good. You look good as well, and absolutely destroyed it there. So, I know you're a very humble guy, but if we go any sort of arm wrestling maths the way you both pulled Lachlan, and we know this is most likely going to be in a hook, at least for the first 2 rounds, do you genuinely believe, and this is probably more a question for the chat because you're a very humble and respectful person, but do you think Krasimir has any chance or has a lane?
Absolutely. How easily we forget his last match with John Brzezinski. I mean, that was dominant. That to me is a
Very
scary
dominant,
thing.
yeah.
When I look at the Lachlan match and I'm being like, when I'm really breaking it down objectively, Lachlan was significantly heavier against Krasi. When he pulled me, I was actually a little bit heavier than him. I know normally that weight, it does translate to strength in some capacity, usually. Not always, but usually. So I would only assume that the version of Lachlan that showed up against Krasi was stronger. So, and then I look at the common denominators in John, and I pulled John, and I don't know where his level's at, but Krasi was in control of that match very comfortably, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then you have the Todzilla match, where he was competitive in it, but Todd was in control. So that kind of gives me an idea. I just don't know what my current version compares to Todd. I've pulled Todd in the past, and I've known what those versions, how they compare. But I would like to make a trip, and I may do it next weekend to go pull with Todd.
What? That's awesome. That would be really cool. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's not too far.
I do get it. I think a lot of us, I know I have, whenever we see John Brzezinski get beat comfortably, I think we just like to push it out of our minds. We don't like to we don't like to think about it. It's going to be great. I mean, and the beauty of this one, why I'm probably giving you an advantage as well, is you might only have to take a 1 hour flight, a 2 hour flight, a 3 hour flight. How lovely is that?
Dude, you have no idea. Like,
I reckon I do.
The different, well, yeah, you do. But like the difference in like the psychological like anxiety that comes with knowing you're going to be on a plane for 20 hours or whatever, and knowing that, hey, I might only have to drive somewhere. So I do think that's an advantage. The one thing that I actually really enjoy the uncomfortability of being out of the country. Like I like the scenarios where I'm the oddball out. I almost feel more comfortable in that capacity of like, all right, you're definitely the underdog. Nobody knows you. They can't talk to you. You're in a whole different culture. I'm actually very comfortable in that scenario. In Florida, there was so much sensory overload because it was a million people I know, and the support was incredible. But like the lead up and like getting yourself in a headspace and isolating yourself was a little bit harder.
Yeah, because everyone wants to come up and that makes sense. I would have thought someone like yourself would have absolutely thralled in that environment. Oh,
I did. Yeah. I did to an extent, but I'm also like a masochistic type person. Like the weight cuts and stuff, like they're so miserable, but I really want to do them. Like I like to do it in a weird way. The travel's really miserable, but I like to do it in a weird way. Your body adjusting, taking 4 hours to adjust. That uncomfortability, I really thrive in.
Interesting. Oh, mate, you surprise me every time we have a chat. That's for sure. You bloody surprise me. When you turn up to a training or you hear all these people talk arm wrestling on a podcast, do you just like to remind everyone that you're the last person to beat Samushia?
No, I don't talk about that, man. That guy. No, most people have already forgotten that or don't know it by now. But I know that guy's different now. He's a different human. Okay. And as far as I'm concerned, he's the greatest ever arm wrestler from East versus West, period. Undisputable, undeniable, and may go down in history as that. We're talking about 10 title defenses. He's wiped out the category.
Now, is it, I don't like correcting anyone. This is just my brain being weird, but isn't it only 9 title defenses? Because you have to
You might be right.
Yeah, because everyone kept saying 10 title defenses, and then when I was reading his record, he was 9-1. And I'm like, hey, you got to win it first and then defend it. So
you might be right.
Either way, like that's splitting hairs. Either way, it's bloody incredible what he's been able to do. But mate, at least I remember, because whenever the graphic comes up on the screen and it's 5-1 and 8-1 and 10-1. That one.
Yeah.
That was Paul. That was Paul.
Oh, but we were both in a weird position in that. It was my first match. It was his first match. He had a layoff. He was he was a little chubbier then. I was heavier. There's all kind of variables. And I had to arm wrestle my tail off to beat him. Like I had to actually switch up a bunch of stuff.
Ah, well, that's what I mean. It was elite level arm wrestling. It was awesome. And Todd and Oleg loves Charles in the chat, and he says,
Nice.
supporting Aussie and encouraging folks to watch Engen's interview with Neil might help some to understand who he is, why he is who he is. Nah. Oh, I hope everyone goes and watches it. I won't be. Not for me. I think it's like 2 hours long. I've got 2 girls under 2. I've only got enough for my show, and then it's back to being a dad. But if people want to go, I'll always support Neil's channel. I like Neil. Neil's a good dude.
That is the thing about the arm wrestling community. It's grown so much. I remember back when your channel started and there was only 3 other channels, and now there's so much information that it's so hard to keep up on everything. And all these channels are putting out great content, and people will be like, hey, did you see this video? And I'm like, no. And I got to go look stuff up frantically to stay on top of things now. It's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. I always encourage, you probably get a million messages a day. Can you do a podcast? Can you help me out training? I get a lot of them. I'm starting a new channel. Can you help me out? Starting a new channel.
Yeah.
Any advice? Rah. And yeah, I think it's great. I think the more channels, because it does a number of things. One, it's, more channels means more opportunities to find arm wrestling. But 2, for someone like myself that's been in the game for a while, I look at some channels and go, oh, shit, that's real good. I got to look at my game now. I don't want to be forgotten, man. It's oh, okay, yeah, that wasn't a bad interview. Shit, all right. I got to get some big dogs back on my channel. I got to.
I mean, that's exactly how the sport has gone too, right? That right there directly parallels the level being pushed up in the actual arm wrestling world. It's happening in the media and on the table with the opportunities that are all over the place now, and these elite level matches and the pathways that we have now to success.
Yeah, the only 2 things I don't like about all these new channels is, one, you'll get some people, and they like doing the podcast interview route, and say they get this as an example, and they get Paul Linn on the show. Paul Linn's a layup. You ask Paul 99 times out of 100, he'll make time for you. And then they do the interview for their new channel, and then 4 or 5 days later, they're saying bad things about him in social forums or teasing them and things like that. And I'm like, hang on, that motherfucker helped you out for free. Pull your head in. And 2, I hate it when, say after East versus West on the weekend, and people do results videos or they leak the footage and they cry that they're copyright struck, but they're like, oh, I'm just trying to help promote the sport. It's no. If you're trying to help promote the sport, you would have just shared the pay-per-view link. That's all you would have. If you wanted to promote the sport, it's free promotion. They should let us do it. It's no, because if you just steal the footage, you got to get all the views, and we need all the views at the pay-per-view, guys. So it's
man.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting. But what's also interesting, you're a strength guy, like you're saying, your college degree and everything. What are your thoughts on the Brian Shaw, Eddie Hall, 2 big, strong men coming over?
Dude, I love it. I mean, the comments on the reel that Core Sports released are so wild. They are so all over the place. They're negative, they're positive. They're it's amazing how diverse they are and how confused they are. But what it does represent is how important the fact that these 2 guys are for arm wrestling. So like I read some comments were like, oh, we wanted to see Brian Shaw arm wrestle someone elite with experience. Well, why would you want that? You know, like, oh, well, Brian Shaw is going to kill Eddie. Well, how do you know that? Like, we know Devin's saying it and everything else, but I think it's an incredible match. And I think the more that those two human beings have a larger social media draw than probably all of arm wrestlers combined. So them even having an interest in running the risk of being involved in this sport with the careers that they have, we should be so thankful to even have the opportunity to watch them. And I can't wait to be in the same room as those guys because they're awesome, you know?
Oh, I'm so jealous.
They're
so
awesome.
Jealous.
They're awesome.
I won't be there. I won't be there. But yeah, I think it's great because I always say we usually get the 10% of the 10% rule. So like if 5 million people are subscribed to Eddie Hall, then 10% of that is 500,000, and most likely the 10% of that stick around.
Yeah.
And I've got a fair idea of what everyone gets paid because I've seen it all and talked to people, and it's not. They could probably get more money doing an appearance somewhere else and not have to train. So yeah, for them coming over, I think everyone fly the Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall flag. And I'm the same as you, Paul. Like, if you give Brian Shaw like a Rivas Latudze or something, and Rivas smokes him, well, there goes Brian.
Right. Yeah, like, and you're also running the risk of injury too when you have a mismatched match, or you don't feed a fighter to the wolves right away, right? You gotta, like, a fighter needs a good manager, and they need to pick matches that make sense. That doesn't mean matches that are 100% layups and you're going to win them. It means matches that you could lose but are at your level to elevate your level. We've seen so many fighters in the fight game, like Arturo Gatti, get thrown to the wolves too early. Arturo Gatti, who knows what he could have been if he didn't take some of the matches he took early on. So I think it's really, really important that we let these guys grow. And the same goes for Auden Larrett. He gets so much, like, shade thrown at him for the matches that he's taken, but in my opinion, he's being managed very well.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. He because with Devin's pop culture, I like this that there's two Paul Linns in arm wrestling.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I met him.
That's cool. But yeah, it's because with Devin's pop culture reach, like, these people aren't going to come back and pull Devin because Devin smokes them.
Yeah.
So then they pull Auden, and Auden gets it. I get in there and says, live comment. Thank you for another super chat, Todd Knowledge. He says, live commentary of East versus Western. The generator view super chat is reason enough to give Endon a modicum of respect. No cheers. Treat people how you would like to be treated. I don't want to go into this. This is all about Paul Linn and pulling Krasi and King of the table. But yeah, you don't know what's happening behind closed doors, and I'm sick of the disrespect. So yeah, but that's okay. You're not to know, Todd and Oleg's, but I'm sick of the abuse. So yeah, but we'll get in there. What else have we quickly got? Eddie Hall needs his A game. Auden's doing it right.
I agree. He's getting a lot of. Not only is Devin, like, getting a lot of internet hate and stuff, whether it's deserved or not. But now we have a lot of that in the subcultures, the Reddit world. His approval rate, I think, is pretty low and stuff. And I think that's tough when they're family, for sure. And I think, honestly, regardless of opinions on the behavior of either of them, I think that they're doing it right as far as winning arm wrestling matches and promoting the sport. And they're willing to take the heel role, which to me is a really benevolent thing, because I wouldn't want to be that guy.
It's hard to do. It is hard to do to go full heel, but when you go full heel, you need a real American hero, and of course, this is Paul Linn. So what happens now? What happens now, Paul? Before we get to the main event with Jerry and Levan, what happens for the next month? You've got like 20 or 30 days or something, 36 days until you pull Krasimir Kostadinov. How does the program work? If everyone what pre-season Paul does before game day.
So I mean, I'm a 1 to 2 times table a week, 2 at the most, and I structure my table training for the most part as if it were a pseudo structured workout. So some of the guys that I've been working with locally, we're really doing sets, reps, static holds, and we're treating it almost like a workout. We'll do some free pulling and everything else like that. But I've added a lot of band resistance. I've actually added garage spring resistance along with a hand. And I've start work. I'm mainly working and targeting my areas that I believe to be weaknesses. So whether it be an area of weakness on offense and finishing, or an area of weakness on defense. So I'm really trying to attack what I think will give me the best opportunity to win this match, but also shore up my game as a whole. So I'll train the rest of the way out. I'll stop on the table at least 10 days ahead, and I'll stop in the gym. I'll stop in the gym basically 5 to 7 days ahead. And between now and then, like I said, I would like to get out and work with Hutchings, pick his brain a little bit, and get an idea where I'm at. But I feel pretty good, and I've added some things in that we'll see if they pay dividends.
Ooh, ironically, Paul Linn is allergic to sleeves, but he has something up them. And that's a new trick.
Right up here.
I tell you though, I'd love to get my hands on that footage of you and Toddzilla pulling. That would be brilliant.
We've pulled a bunch. He comes like I normally train primarily in Maryland, which is about a 2.5 hour drive, 2 hour drive for me. And Dave Morocco and Todd are good friends, and he travels down quite a bit. So I mean, we've pulled a bunch of times over the years, and I've gone out to Todd's as well. So I'll probably try and make it out to Todd's maybe next weekend. He gets a big old group. It's awesome. And he's a good time too. You drink a bunch of beers and stuff.
Oh yeah. Toddzilla, love that guy. I met him once in person when he came to Australia, and yeah, he's just
oh yeah, dude. He's a gem.
With everything that you do, how do you rest? Like, your body is so conditioned to work. So when you have your 10 days no table time, 5 to 7 out of the gym, is it John, hard for you?
It's terrible. And you know what? As long as I've been lifting prior to arm wrestling, I have never in my life taken a break from the gym like more than like 3 to 5 days in the history of my life until I became an arm wrestler. And it was a super hard thing to deal with. Let's see what it's saying.
He says, I'll tell Paul what he can't do. He can't enter the novice class and wreak havoc.
I give you that, Shubitz. I give you that. Yeah, so I have a hard time with it even to this day. And Brzezinski was one of the first ones that said, he said, hey, why you do all this gym training? And I was like, well, John, because I'm not you, and I kind of gotta, And he was like, I challenge you for one important match to really dial back on the training and take a longer rest time. And to be honest with you, I think everybody's different, but I actually perform better. I just mentally, I have this like doubt because things don't feel as tight. I don't feel connected. I'm a guy who used to do a little blood flow workout before I would play a football game. I would train heavy the day before I played a football game because I felt tight and connected, and I felt like my muscles, and I'm ready to work now. It's the same as to me like a stretching warm-up. But
yeah, right. Bloody hell. Have you? I'll tell you what, the ultimate trolling thing you could do is. Are you right?
Hold on. I lost my audio. You got me now?
Yeah.
No?
I never lost you.
I can't hear.
You can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Hello? Can you hear me now? You can't hear me.
I can hear you.
You can't hear me.
It's loud.
I can hear you. Oh, bloody hell. They don't have Wi-Fi where Paul lives.
How about
maybe
now?
Yeah, I've always been able to hear you. We'll see how it goes when we get to some of your comments in just a moment. I'll leave that one up there for you. I'll leave that one. Knowledge, love, child. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you from my phone, but not through my.
Okay, that's all right. We'll only go for a few more minutes. We'll get some questions for the chat. First one I want to ask. Have you bought a Krasi pulling system so you can beat Krasi with his own equipment?
No, I have one of my own. And I really don't use it. I put a table by the pillars in the gym, but I do hear that his is the best. I've just never. I had one prior, and then I switched to just putting my table in front of the pillar. So no, I don't. But I'm not opposed to it. It looks top notch, and I've heard good things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. Question here from Todd and Oleg's love child. How do things change if Zoloev is back?
I don't know. I don't know where he's at. I would absolutely love to fill him. I know he's usually a little bit lighter, but I think I could get down to a weight that would be relatively close enough where I think that would be, I would be honored to be able to have that for sure. That was a match that was made for me at one point that wound up falling through because of Zolow's prior engagements, I think, with having to. So I'd love to run that match. I mean, we'll see. I got to win the one in front of me before I worry about anything like that. But I think Zoloev, he's an all-time legend, and I would love to see what he does in the East versus West Kingdom table stage.
Yeah, last time I saw him at East versus West, John Brasink beat him.
Yeah, but that's John, and John was big, and John got a crazy hand, and
There you go. If you beat Krasi, would you pull Matt Mask next?
I mean, I would love to keep the old tradition of pulling guys from outside the North America continent. I honestly have no real desire to pull anybody that I see as a teammate. Do I think it could potentially be a good match? Maybe. I know Matt. I would make Matt a favorite because of his dominant hand, his level length, and everything like that, and him being so tough to hook. But I think it would be a fun match. But no, I would never really go to pull Matt Mask. I prefer to stick to the guys on the other side of the world.
Yeah, fair enough. What do you think of the Jerry Levan match? Has Jerry got any chance?
Yes. Like the thing that if we haven't learned by now that Jerry Catt has a puncher's chance against anybody. Like we can break the match down until we're blue. We see Hermes have success.
Hang on, you said it's all gone nuts now. It's all gone nuts.
Okay.
It was squawking like a bird and everything. Madness. I've never had a problem with Paul. That's weird.
Can you hear me now?
Hey, he's back.
All right. Now the headphones are working. I'm sorry, guys. I got an old phone, man.
That's all right. So let's go back
to
what I was
saying. Yeah, what I was saying is we've seen Jerry beat guys like Kardeccia that a lot of people didn't think he could beat. We've also seen him lose to Hermes in fashions that we weren't really expecting either. And then we've seen Hermes give Levan trouble without his hand. And we know that Jerry is the ace when it comes to the flop press and endurance. And we've also seen that Levan at times with Hermes had struggled with endurance. Now, do I make Levan a favorite? Yes, he's a heavy favorite. Like if I'm making Vegas odds, you're going to win a lot of money if you bet on Jerry. But that being said, Jerry has the best puncher's chance that there is out there. And I have really wanted to see this match for many, many years because I do believe that arm wrestling, there can be a huge strength gap, but every one of us has things that we're not great in. And until we see somebody like Jerry pull Levan, we don't know. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm rooting for Jerry.
Oh, well, I think we're all rooting for Jerry. I think we are. Because, I remember, when I was writing to my sports and Mike Tyson, I mean, my channel's heard it a billion times, but Mike Tyson was untouchable.
Oh, buddy. My favorite of all time.
And then in come Buster Douglas and went the 1-2. And was the champ.
Well, isn't that another point that could be brought up? We all know the Buster Douglas story that led up to the Tyson fight. If we don't know, I mean, these are all things that can weigh into any type of competition. Buster Douglas got his mom dies, and he dedicates this fight to his mom. So he's fighting on another transcendent level. In the meantime, Tyson don't have his camp with him. He's got his buddies in there with no ice and water in a surgical glove in between rounds. Like anything can happen to throw off the Vegas odds. You never know.
That's right. And you just we can all predict and we can all guarantee and things like that, but I've been involved in a lot of sport in my life, and you just never know. I've seen teams win by 100 points every week, and then they get to the grand final and they lose. You don't know how Levan wakes up. You don't know what's going on with his life outside. He might have lost a couple of sponsors or knocked back for a movie, or touch wood, it never happens, like his wife leaves him or something. You just don't know. Jerry might get tongue surgery, so his tongue's even longer, and Levan's shocked by the extra long tongue that licks his nose. There's just so many variables, and anytime the top tier guys pull, the Buster Douglas chance comes in me, and then I'm on the Jerry train.
And the beauty of it is too, that's why we compete, man. You don't got to be the better athlete. Maybe your sum total is not better than the guy you're pulling against. You just got to be better for about 3 to 4 rounds over the course of 30 minutes. That's all you have to do. And as long as there's a close enough gap, there is the ability to create a perfect effort on any given day. So there's so many variables up in it, and I'm rooting just for a war. I just hope there's a stop and some theatrics, and we see the tongue get gone and a bunch of crazy stuff. I want to see some fouls. I want oxygen masks and water. I want all of it. Yeah.
And I was there for the first one where Levan got so, because it was the same lead up. No one can touch him. What's the point of booking Levan and Erdemis? And I'll always share the story. Erdemis, when he arrived in Dubai, wanted blood. He wanted to pull Levan after the press conference. He was pacing up and down, and he made me believe. He could do something. And then being there and stopped it, and the oxygen tank, holy moly. And I'm telling you, just stop what you're doing, everyone, before we wrap up the show, and just buy the pay-per-view now, so you don't have to worry about the site shutting down or having any problem. Get on your laptop, get on your phone, buy the pay-per-view.
Yes, sir.
And if you are someone that is a bit down in life, because I won't be a king of the table, so if you're someone that is struggling a little bit, some extra bills have come in, you spent your last $50 on buying your kids some Christmas presents, hit me up. I'm gonna buy some extra pay-per-views. I used to do it back in the day.
Yeah, how do you do that? I would do that. I would do that for sure. How do you do that?
Mine's the very old-fashioned way. I have a whole heap of made-up fake emails.
Oh, okay.
And then I just log in every time. So
what if I send you some money to give out 5 of them or something?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we'll definitely work that out. So you get five from Paul. I'm willing to give out heaps, but just message. Don't just look for a free pay-per-view. If things aren't going well,
Well, if you're the guy who's willing to say things aren't going well to get a free pay-per-view, then I guess you deserve one. But I mean, come on, guys.
Karma will get you.
Yeah. I'd like to send it to some of our foreign country fans that don't normally tune in and just listen to live feeds and things like that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, because I used to buy a few back in the day, and it was really good. But then someone shit on it and said I was still hurting the sport, so I stopped.
Oh, that's good stuff. We need to let more eyes see the sport.
That's right. So a couple of quick questions, then we're going to wrap up. We've got what's the level of Krasi that beat Brezink, and the level of Paul when he faced Brezink versus now? How much better?
I'm better. I don't know how much better, but I know that I'm better. based off of common denominators and stuff, gym lifts, movements overall. And I do think that my ability to target a match and have a finite focus now that really gears towards things that I need to fix in my game has upped my level a little bit. Plus, the amount of experience that I've gathered against guys like Rusum and Samushia and Rackley, that stuff's really important. And it's really pointed out holes in my game that I got to work on. So I got to believe I'm better. I got to believe I'm stronger. And I can't say the difference. I don't know. But I feel better and more confident now.
There you go. JP Winters wants to know, Paul, how brutal are those plane rides
Horrible.
to Dubai and Istanbul?
Horrible.
What are your times flying?
So I got it. Not only do I gotta fly 11 hours, I gotta drive 3 hours to get there and then sit in the airport and everything for another 2. So it winds up being a solid like close to 20 hours of travel. The worst part is the worst part is the weight cut and the fact that I'm doing a water load and then trying to get on that plane and be sedentary and also do like a water cycle where I'm drinking a lot of water, but I can't get it because the plane won't give me enough. So I undoubtedly gain 2 pounds every time I get off that flight. So I've worked it into the system now. But yeah, it's brutal. It's actually worse on the way back. Like when you've had that emotional roller coaster and that like dump, and now you're in this plane and you're going to get back. And I always land at midnight. I have to go through customs. I get out of customs at like 2 a.m. Then I drive 2.5, 3 hours home, and I get home at like 6 in the morning, and I got to work the next day. It's awful.
Yeah, it's things like that. But one thing I say, you have an 11-hour flight. They're rookie numbers. Hey, 8 international flights this year. 11 hours is my warm-up, mate. That's my warm-up.
Well, hats off to you, buddy.
Nah.
Try doing that when you're about 7 pounds into your weight cut, and then you got to arm wrestle when you get there.
I think I'm putting on...
Dude, I don't know how Lachlan and Ryan do it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's easier for me for 2 reasons. I don't have to do a weight cut and compete, and then when I get back home, I'm not going back. I'm not working the next day.
Right.
So I'm pretty lucky there. And then last one, Lewis says, perhaps this has been asked already, but what does Paul think of the young sensation from South Africa, Richard Boardman?
I think he's a stud, man, and I think he's like living proof that like the preparation required for other sports out there at an elite level can give you a huge jump start into the sport. And I think a lot of like guys who've been in the sport for a while have like a latent fear of those guys. Like what happens if they come in like a level above them? There are a lot of guys walking this planet right now that will whoop our asses, like that's just the truth. And like we can look at a guy like Brian Shaw, who's an extreme version of that, but there's more like realistic, like hometown versions as well. I've been involved in strength for so long. I know there are kids out there, that can do freakish things, So he to me is awesome. I like his personality. He's super versatile. And he comes from a sporting background, which makes me believe that he already has a leg up as far as mentally internalizing competition. So the sky's the limit for that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And and you're not wrong. I mean, you just look at the NFL. I mean, how many of those guys could come on a table,
Weirdos. All of them. They're weirdos.
And kick ass. Drunk Eddie with a super chat before we wrap up says, donate one to me, Jake. You're awesome, mate. All right. I'll donate a pay-per-view.
He spent the $20. Yeah, you just give it back to him.
Yeah. Drunk Eddie's been a huge supporter
I love it. Good.
of the show. But yeah, I'll definitely stay in touch
That's awesome.
with you, Paul, about that. We'll get some people having some pay-per-views. Do you have a question, Drunk Eddie? You can ask the last question to Paul Linn, Lindiana Jones. Let me know. We can get in there because we'll thank you, Paul, for his time and thank you to his family because when it's 7 p.m. and you want to have dinner and spend time with your lovely wife and son. No, I'm always appreciative, mate. Always appreciative.
Jake, you met my wife, man. How many times do you think she cooks dinner for me? Who do you think's cooking later, bro? Who do you think's cooking?
Well then, please
No, I love it. I love it. I
give
love
my
it.
love to your wife
I will.
letting you delay dinner. Like,
Yeah.
alrighty. We're out of here. You got to see it. It's Paul Linn. It's Krasimir Kostadinov. It's a hook battle. It's happening December 14th. It's happening in the United States of America. You ain't top rolling. Shit. You're not going to top roll. You can't even do it properly. Look at you. Oh, wow,
No, this is
you've seen it
proper.
all.
Set the pronator and cup. It's already done.
Oh, well, we'll see how it goes from there. Guys, can we all please thank the one and only Paul Linn? He's a genuine superstar of the sport, and we can't wait to see him next time. Guys, if you're a member, I'm going to drop some big news on my members channel right after this. I'll speak to you guys soon.